Somewhere in your head, a thought is replaying, a conversation, a mistake, something someone said that you can't let go of. And here's what almost nobody tells you: overthinking has nothing to do with how smart or weak minded you are. The smartest people on earth fall into this loop just as easily, sometimes more easily than anyone else. So if your brain won't shut up, stay for the next 8 minutes. Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why your mind does this and the one thing that actually makes it stop. Let's get into it. What overthinking actually is. Overthinking isn't simply thinking a lot. Psychologically, it's defined as a pattern of repetitive, often negative thought loops known in psychology as rumination. The difference between healthy thinking and overthinking comes down to one thing: resolution. Healthy thinking moves toward a decision or an answer. Overthinking loops in circles, replaying the same thoughts without ever reaching a conclusion. Your brain isn't trying to torture you. It's trying to solve something, it just doesn't realize that some things can't be solved by thinking harder. Why your brain does this. To understand overthinking, we have to go back to why the brain evolved the way it did. For most of human history, threats were physical predators, danger, scarcity. The brain developed a system to constantly scan for problems, because missing a real threat could be fatal. This system is run largely by a region called the amygdala, your brain's alarm center. It doesn't distinguish well between a lion in the grass and an awkward email you sent 5 hours ago. To your amygdala, both can register as threat. The problem is, modern life doesn't have many lions, so this ancient alarm system redirects toward the only threats it can find: social anxieties, uncertainties, mistakes, things that haven't happened yet. Overthinking, in many ways, is a survival mechanism with nothing left to survive, so it just keeps running. The role of uncertainty. Here's something psychology has found again and again. Humans don't fear bad outcomes nearly as much as they fear not knowing. Uncertainty is what your brain treats as truly dangerous, and overthinking is often your mind's attempt to create a feeling of control in the middle of uncertainty, even if that control is an illusion. This is why overthinking spikes during major life transitions: a new job, a relationship ending, an uncertain diagnosis, financial pressure. The brain isn't malfunctioning, it's working overtime, trying to plan for every possible version of a future it cannot actually predict. The irony is that this process rarely produces clarity. It produces exhaustion. Why thinking more doesn't help. If overthinking were actually solving problems, you'd expect to feel better after an hour of it. Most people feel worse. That's because rumination activates the same emotional circuits as the original stressor, without the practical action that usually follows real problem solving. You're replaying the threat without ever moving toward the resolution, so your nervous system stays activated, on alert, as if the problem is still happening right now. In other words, your brain reruns the worry like a movie on loop, and your body responds as if it's living it for the first time every time. What actually helps, this is where most psychology agrees on a few real shifts: not stop thinking, which is nearly impossible, but redirecting how the mind engages with uncertainty. 1. Naming the loop. Simply recognizing this is rumination, not problem solving, creates distance from the thought pattern. 2. Externalizing it. Writing thoughts down even messily shifts them from an internal loop to something outside the mind, which reduces their grip. 3. Time boxing worry. Giving yourself a defined window to think something through, then consciously closing it signals to the brain that a threat has been addressed. 4. Grounding in the present. Since overthinking almost always lives in the past or an imagined future, simple present-focused actions, breath, physical movement, sensory awareness, interrupt the loop. None of these turn off the brain's alarm system entirely, but they change your relationship with it from being run by the loop to observing it. Overthinking isn't a flaw in you, it's an ancient survival system, running in a modern world that doesn't need it the way it used to. Understanding that alone, that your mind isn't broken, it's just outdated in its wiring, is often the first step toward quieting it. In the next video, we'll go deeper into anxiety itself and what psychology says is actually happening in your body when worry takes over. If this helped you understand your own mind a little better,